What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the From Mourning to Action, Powerfully Working Through Loss podcast. I am your host, Dr. Damon Silas, and welcome back to the second mini-sode in a series of 6. And now we may break them up a little. My idea is to do 3 and then break them up with some more people that I can interview and then do another 3, all about the action plan. And as you all know, action is an acronym that stands for affirmations or afformations, as you have learned in the last episode. And if you didn't listen to that, go ahead and do yourself a favor and check that one out. This one, we're going to talk a lot about creativity. So that's the C of the action plan. From here on out, we got talking, introspection, openness, and nowness. But again, today we're going to talk a lot about creativity. And this is straight from the book, What's Your Action Plan? 6 Powerful Ways to Get Unstuck in Your Life Now. So that's actually an ebook that I came out with to follow up my first book, which is From Mourning to Night, Overcoming Loss. Now, this second book, What's Your Action Plan, was actually more about giving you, the listener, the reader, tangible action items, tangible tools that you can use on your own so that it could be helpful in your working through your own loss. You know, because again, this is all about, sometimes we get stuck. Sometimes we get in a rut, and it's okay. And it's okay to take action too. So it's okay to take a rest when you need to take a rest, but it's also okay to look around and see where you can get inspiration from in order to take your next steps. And they can be baby steps, y'all. It doesn't have to be this one gigantic step from one point to the next. It's okay to take your time because there's really a lot of beauty in the process. So appreciating the process rather than just trying to get to the finish line the quickest that you can. So, that being said, this one is all about creation, like I said. And I ask you, are you ready to start creating? So this is the fun topic. I absolutely love this section because it has all the things I love and all those things that make a society and culture stand out. Not to mention that most people I've worked with have some sort of range of artistic abilities, whether active or dormant. Art is what makes the world go round, the spice of life, that which keeps things interesting. So this is where your creative juices start flowing. How many of you at one point began as a youngster playing a musical instrument or writing poetry, drawing, acting, or even dancing? But at some point along the way, somewhere along the line, time, money, life, family, and everyday stressors got in your way. At some point, you found yourself saying, one day I'm going to pick up drawing or dancing or acting or playing the guitar again. Has that one day come along yet? Are you still waiting for it? Well, guess what? That one day is now. The time is now to start getting your creativity in action. Thinking about it and actually doing it are 2 completely different things. Now, if we were talking about visualization, I would contradict myself at this point and say that thinking about it and doing it are very similar and can produce amazing results. But similar is not same. And visualizing for the sake of bettering yourself is not the same as being creative in the service of yourself. We all need a way, an outlet to express ourselves. If we run our kids ragged to and from different practices and events because we think it's important that they get the exercise, discipline, and ability to express themselves by doing something that they, or you as the parent, love, why do we not apply that same line of thinking and doing to ourselves? Let's take a moment to think about this. Most of you are creative, and even those of you who say, I'm not creative at all, I suck at that stuff, then this is all the more reason why this section should appeal to you. You have actively neglected an entire side of your brain. If you lifted weights and solely focused on your upper body, how would that look for your legs? Not pretty, right? Or vice versa would yield the same results. It's time to hit the mental gym for a full brain workout, y'all. We're not staying on the left side anymore. Right side is going to get to play in this one now. How many of you out there have something to say to others but never get to say it? Or you have that one friend, family member, or therapist you talk to once a week, and when you see them, you spew verbal diarrhea on them. Sorry for the visual, but that's truly what it is and what it feels like, especially if you're on the receiving end of this. You hold everything in during the course of several days, weeks, or months, and so when you get a chance to let it go, it all comes spilling out, like a dam that's just broken. But what if I told you there was a way to alleviate some of that? The answer is right in front of you, by the way. Your ability to write. Whether it's with your hands, mouth, or feet, you have an ability to write. And by the way, I'm not talking about typing something on the computer or in your phone or on your tablet. No, I'm talking about the good old-fashioned writing where the pen or pencil meets the paper. Try it. It feels amazing, doesn't it? Okay, so maybe the legibility of your writing isn't the best, but we're not judging that. You just need to get those thoughts out of your head and onto paper. Simple as that. You have a lot to say and even more that you've been thinking. It's time to give it a voice. So whether it's a diary, a journal, poem, memoir, or even a book, you have a lot to say. So start the process now. We all too often hold things in, thinking if I, quote unquote, left brain know why I'm feeling the way I am and know the origins of why I feel this way, then I should magically be able to, quote unquote, right brain solve it without actively engaging the right brain. Good luck with that. It's time to do, not just think about doing or the reasons why you can or can't, should or shouldn't do. How many of you noticed the increase in the amount of adult coloring books in various stores recently? They're usually strategically placed right next to the registers right before you're about to check out. Just when you think you have everything you needed on your list, there it is staring you in your face. Calling and beckoning your inner child saying, "Come color me." Hard to resist, I know. Those coloring books have actually made a comeback, or maybe they've even been here for years in the form of coloring books for kids, but eventually those who publish them realize we all have an inner child waiting to express him or herself. We got away from them at some point along the way, but it doesn't mean they went fully away. I've come across so many adults who have excitedly stated that either they or their spouse have an adult coloring book and find them truly therapeutic. I get so excited when I hear this because it's really just about letting that inner creativity out in an increasingly socially acceptable manner. Had I brought this up several years ago, you would probably look at me in a slightly crazy manner, but alas, times have changed. So if you're a musician, it's time to get creating. Some of the best works of art come from hurt and pain and anguish and despair. Think about it. The best hits, the longest chart toppers have been such songs as Boyz II Men and Mariah Carey's One Sweet Day, or Boyz II Men's It's So Hard to Say Goodbye, or even Adele's Grammy-winning 21 album that was all about heartbreak that she had gone through during that time period. That's no accident. They were such huge hits and albums because the songs hit people in a way that those songs at the time making people dance couldn't do. People were able to relate to these songs in a way in which they could understand and feel the lyrics. They could picture their loved one, their lost pet, lost lover, whoever it was, in those lyrics, and thus grieve in a way that worked for not only them, but millions of others worldwide. Get your instruments out and craft a piece. No, it doesn't have to be a masterpiece, but it is a piece of you and your soul that needs to be expressed. A piece for peace. Write lyrics if you do that as well. One of the things that was therapeutic for me after my sister died was that I began to write poetry that morphed into raps, and those turned into songs when I partnered with my friend Darren, who is still is a DJ. And as we were going through as many crates of records just listening to beats, and in particular instrumentals, I found the perfect beat that matched the mood I felt in this one particular rap. After Darren listened to it, he thought of the perfect sample he could scratch in that song. Well, we put it together in a song entitled October, which happened to be the actual title of the instrumental song I chose in the birth month of my sister. It was a perfect fit. Darren began to scratch Don't Cry, Dry Your Eyes from Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick's song La-Di Da-Di. He also chose a sample from a Tupac song that stated, "Forgive but don't forget, keep your head up." It was almost seamless the way the song came together. And even as I listen to it to this day, I always feel something different but deep within me. I'm so happy and grateful that I was able to create a piece to memorialize that period of time for me. And regardless, I say all that to say, pour your heart out through your creation of music or dance. As you may or may not know, this is my favorite area of creation to discuss. I've been dancing all my life, and dancing has literally saved my life. During a time period when I was down, upset, lost, I found dance. Rather, dance found me. We all have an inner dancer, and I encourage you to find yours. Think about it. Look at children when they listen to music. They immediately begin moving and jumping around, happy that the music is on and that they can groove. Yet somewhere along the way, we're either forced into dance, which I've found for many actually kills their dancing spirit as they feel confined to the choreography, or we just stop dancing altogether. Either we're too cool, don't want to be embarrassed by the moves that come out of our bodies, or don't want to be seen as less than professional. I say, put that thinking aside, and as Lady Gaga would say, just dance. Dance as though no one is watching. You have a story to tell through your movement, and it needs to be heard by your body and thus everyone else, if you so choose. There's an African proverb that states, if you can talk, you can sing. If you can walk, you can dance. And I truly believe we all have a dancer within us waiting to come out. We just suppress it until a wedding comes along and we get the chance to get out there and dance on the floor and strut our stuff. And finally, for those visual artists out there, I would say create works of art that represent your medium best. Whether it's a painting, a design, decor, a craft of some sort, make it. There's so much talent out there underused, if not unused, that if people were to just put that inner gremlin in their heads on time out, these works would be beautifully created. I have always admired and secretly envied those who can draw, paint, and create visual art so effortlessly. It truly is a gift, so use it and offer it to the world as gifts are meant to be shared. Now, on the other side of the same coin in terms of creativity, I'll speak about the power of the imagination. For without our imagination, none of the aforementioned works of art would ever be created. Every idea starts with our imaginations, which, for those who take action, turns into something tangible that you can see, that we can see, that all can see. So let's get back to the root of things. As children, we're encouraged to utilize our imaginations. This is seen through child's play especially, where we would imagine any given scenery playing out and act it out with action figures as though it was happening right then and there. Well, somewhere along the lines, some of us lose that imaginative spark. We have the idea that we have to stay focused on the rational and concrete things. For those who are artists or even entrepreneurs, I would say they're using the power of their imaginations. However, for those of you who feel stuck, when's the last time you were able to access the power of your imagination? Or perhaps you imagine yourself getting unstuck out of your current situation but can't fully see what that looks like. What if I told you there was significant power in visualization? And what if I told you that visualization is simply utilizing your imagination? Would you be in? Sold on this idea? Well, there have been many studies that have proven this exact power. Take the following example taken from the Silva Mind Control Method by Jose Silva. He speaks in this book about the power of visualization and that there were 3 groups of people split up whose task was to focus on improving their free throw shot. So for those of you unclear what that is, it's when someone is fouled in basketball and they consequently get to stand at the free throw line by themselves and try to make one, if not 2 shots, with no defensive interference. So the first group got to practice daily their free throw shots. The second group didn't practice at all. And the third group simply had to imagine taking these free throw shots without actually doing so. Well, guess who improved the most in this grouping of people? Yep, you guessed it. The group that simply imagined shooting the free throw shots. Not the group that actually